That brings us to Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor. Both of them in the minus right now. Very close according to Las Vegas. Conor McGregor, at least here on Monday afternoon, is minus 115. Nate Diaz, minus 105. Kenfo, the time has come for better or for worse. I know you picked Conor the first time around. Which way you go?
Well, listen, I don't want to make it look like I didn't do my homework here, but I am actually making my decision like right now as you ask me this question, because we're down to the wire here, and I've been watching both their fights and how they do things and what they do right. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Conor. I'm going to say that he looks at that last fight. He looks at where his career needs to be and what he needs to do to keep going in this direction. He needs to win this fight. And if he knows he needs to win this fight, he needs to fight smart. He can't get caught into the game and get emotional against Nate Diaz. He can't be a victim of the trash talking during the fight, before the fight, all those things, and get emotional and get him off his game plan. I think he's the sharper striker. That is for sure. I think Nate Diaz will mop him up on the mat, I think. So I think he's going to find a way to keep the fight standing. I think he stays disciplined and he wins the fight. How does he win it? Let's go with the TKO. I know it's crazy, but I'm going with it. I love Nate Diaz. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's what I'm doing.
All right, for extra credit, you got a round for me. McGregor by TKO. Which round you going?
Oh, for Pete's sake, John Anik. Let's go with the fourth round.
Round 4, TKO. And will you get a 209 tattoo if Diaz beats Conor?
Do it.
No, I won't.
You won't. Okay. All right. Just figured I'd ask. All right, Cindy, here we go. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz. Who is the pick?
You know, I'm very aware that Conor has an opponent-specific training camp. I think he's very diligent and obsessive. It's shown after he lost to Duffy in 2010. I feel like the only way that Conor can win is if he kicks a lot, because Nate doesn't kick often and he doesn't check kicks often. But he'd have to outpoint him kind of like RDA did. And I don't really see Conor doing that because I feel like he's going to want to make a statement. I'm a little concerned about his cardio management as well. We know he can make it through 3 rounds, but can he make it through 5?
Right.
I'm not sure. So with that, I'm going to choose Nate Diaz. I think he's just high-paced, pressure fighter, good with cardio management. He has a great accuracy, especially with his 1-2. Of course, we know he has great submissions. And beyond that, I'm personally invested. I'm from NorCal. Scrap Pack member Gilbert Melendez. He went to SF State. He wanted to be a teacher. It just makes sense for me. So I'm going to go with Diaz. Submission in the 4th round.
Woo.
Submission in round 4.
Damn, we both called it the 4th round, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Great insights from both of you. I am happy since that fateful day back in March that I just get to sit back and enjoy everybody else making picks. This would be a hard one for me to pick, man. You know, it really would be. I felt obviously convicted the first time around. I don't at all feel that way going into this one. I think you both hit on some very good points. Cindy Wynn, thanks for reaching out to us on Twitter. Thank you for listening to the show. Great job with the picks. We will certainly have you back, and I hope for your sake a couple of those dogs come in. Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, for sure. Wait, Anna, can I ask you to wear a T-shirt? I watch the weigh-ins. I watch you on the desk, and you always have a long sleeve on. I'm waiting to see that tattoo in action.
All right. You know what? Hidalgo, Texas. I'll flare it out there just for you. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank
Cindy's
you.
awesome.
All right, Cindy with us. I try to pull it up just so you can see the tail end of that 9. You know, but, it's by request.
You tease.
Brian Stan was like, "Dude, don't put it on your forearm." You know, he's like, "Just put it on your shoulder or something." And I was like, "No, dude."
I told you lower back. Lower back would have been hot.
Yeah, you did. That's right. So good. But no, I want it, dude. And honestly, every time I read any story on Nate or Nick or hear them quoted or see them, I get more excited that I am forever branded with this 209. Like, honestly, I mean, if you're going to align yourself, I mean, these not only are they obviously outstanding elite fighters, but just everything about them is true and real, and everything that I think a lot of us really want to and hope to be, you know? I mean, I go hang out with, like, my wife's friends down here in Boca Raton, and, you know, I can't always be myself, right? Like, those guys walk in to the bowling alley, and it's like, "Hey, bro, is that your kid over there? You want to go take bong hits in the car or no?" You know? Like, we all want to be able to be like those guys. So I'm really excited to see this fight play out. And I think it's interesting that you touched on this being a must-win for Conor McGregor, because I really do believe he is approaching it that way.
Yeah.
I really think it's going to be interesting if we hit the championship rounds, because as you heard from Cindy, in terms of the cardio management, you put yourself in position to hopefully be fresh in rounds 4 and 5, but doesn't necessarily play out that way. And that's why I'm curious if people think Conor can win a decision, because I don't like him to necessarily outpoint Nate,
Right.
and I think that flies in the face of what a lot of people are saying here, at least today on our show.
We were talking about discipline, and when I look at everything that Conor's doing, this whole camp is about discipline. So when I looked at it, I said, okay, he's changed his whole mentality of how he's approaching this fight. He's got to change his mentality of how he actually executes that game plan and how he fights. So
yeah.
you got to believe he's going to stay disciplined as well during the fight. Doesn't mean he's going to win. I mean, Nate Diaz is such a skillful fighter. However, I do think he's going to be sharper out there on the feet, and he's going to fight smart. He has to fight smart. For him to lose this fight would be devastating for his career. Of course, he can go back to 145. He's still going to be a star, but definitely affects the brand.
We know Nate, yeah, absolutely. We know Nate Diaz to be in shape 24/7, 365. He can drink tequila allegedly in Cabo and fly home and absorb a beating and beat you like he did back in March. Do you feel like that's a major wrinkle or factor, that Nate now has a full training camp and is sparred the way he normally would leading up to a big fight?
Without a doubt. And Nate Diaz typically isn't the fastest of starters. Typically he's a slow starter. But knowing now what to expect against someone like Conor McGregor, knowing where he's vulnerable, getting caught, leaning on that jab a little bit and having
Right.
Conor slip out, I think he's going to be ready for that stuff. I think he's going to be that much more prepared. He's going to be in even better shape. And his pacing, he's going to be able to throw more volume early on. I think, leading up to that fight, he said, I can go 25 minutes, but it's the pace of which I can go at that 25 minutes. I'm not going to go at my normal pace. I have to slow things down, blah, blah, blah. So he can go in that crazy pace, start the fight off throwing a lot of volume, and finish the fight throwing a lot of volume.
It's interesting because we have asked essentially everyone who has come on this show since June to make a pick on that fight. And it seems like universally most fighters and fans and expert types are picking Nate Diaz to win the fight. And a lot of them are doing so obviously because of what they saw back in March, but largely because they feel like now Nate's going to be in the shape of his life and primed to really put a beating on him. But again, those people aren't rushing to the betting window. Relative to what the discourse is out there, you would think Nate Diaz is a minus 200 favorite against Conor McGregor, but Conor McGregor's favored right now. So everyone out there thinking, everybody who picks Nate is picking him as if it's sort of an afterthought, or a lot of people. I mean, Cindy certainly not, but I feel like a lot of people who are picking Nate Diaz are just pointing to the first fight. I remember reading Sean Al-Shadi's piece, I believe, at MMAfighting.com, and actually our friend Kurt Pellegrino, said, I knew Nate was going to mop the floor with Conor McGregor the first time around. And a lot of people said that before, during, after, and I think a lot of people are trotting that out again. I think Conor McGregor's got a lot more fight in him and a lot more skill in him than a lot of people are giving him credit. And hey, Vegas is giving him credit. He's the favorite right